Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of Have You Seen This? This week it's my turn on the table, and it's Rob who picked the film for me, so go on Rob.
I've gone for something a bit different. I mean, it has got, obviously Chad likes horror movies, so I try to bring, I'm going to throw him a couple of films in, future episodes that might throw him a little bit. But this one, I thought, start off on a thriller. We talked about it in the previous podcast about, thriller horror films. I think this is a perfect one for that kind of thing.
Oh, definitely.
And this movie is a 90s movie, early 90s, directed by Curtis Hanson, who you may know for more things like LA Confidential and 8 Mile with Eminem.
Did he direct that?
He did.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, cool.
He's sadly no longer with us now, but he did do some great movies in the 90s and 2000 era. But this movie is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah, very cool film.
It's we managed to find a copy of it on Disney Plus.
We did, yeah. Thank you, Disney.
Chad, tell me what you thought of Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh God, okay.
So I'll start off with. So, what were you expecting?
This is one of those films, a lot like Fatal Attraction. I wouldn't watch it if it wasn't for this. Right. I've always gone past it, and I've always gone, my wife will like that, because Alex likes psychological thrillers, stuff like that.
Did Alex watch it as well?
Alex loved it, by the way.
She's not seen this.
She's not seen this either. To be fair, we both loved it, to be fair. I really enjoyed it. Again, like Rob was saying, a lot of things happen in it that make you uncomfortable, and I think it helps now that I'm a father.
Yeah.
Because obviously Claire, the character, she goes to see Dr. Mott, and he's a baby doctor and a gynecologist. For anyone that doesn't know what a gynecologist is, he's a man that looks at a woman's private parts. Yes, there you go. And he's meant to be doing like an ultrasound and that. He sends his nurse out, and there's this really, really dark bit where he doesn't put a glove on, and he tells her he's going to check. And that really shocked me. Me and my wife Alex were like, oh wow, no, because we thought, maybe he's joking. I know it's a weird thing to joke about. And then he obviously touches down there with a bare hand, which is, again, very unsanitary straight away, especially when it's meant to be a doctor.
Especially in these times.
Yeah. And obviously he's meant to be her doctor, and you're not meant to do that. I imagine so, I'm not a doctor. And he's like saying weird things to her, isn't he, while he's doing it? And obviously Claire is weird. Now, Claire's got really bad asthma as well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
That's like a thing in it.
I mean, I don't know how many people have actually portrayed asthma victims in the past.
Yeah.
But she nails that role when she has asthma issues. Myself, an asthma sufferer.
I'm not, no.
But if you have asthma, you sort of you know how it feels when she goes through that. Because her asthma obviously is brought on by an assault.
Yeah.
But
because she leaves the room, she goes downstairs, and she's panting going downstairs.
Exactly.
And obviously part of you's like, oh no, don't fall downstairs kind of thing, because you're pregnant. Yeah. And then she goes home, and she has many showers, which is understandable. She's in bits, and then Michael comes home, and then she says, Dr. Mott's done this to me.
Yeah, it's a very creepy scene. I mean,
it's very creepy. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it made me feel like I needed a shower.
Yeah.
Like, I was
dirty, isn't it?
Yeah, I said to Alex, oh God, what's Rob making us watch it? Because I said to Alex, you put a horror film in front of me where there's 300 people being chopped up by a madman with an axe, he's killing teenagers. I'm fine with that. You put me in an awkward situation like that, I'm like, oh no, I don't like this. Makes your skin crawl.
That's kind of why I wanted you to see this film, because I thought this is more of a, this really happens.
Yes,
This is a real thing.
Yeah.
Doctors will abuse the power that's given to them. Not all doctors, obviously, but
don't trust doctors.
But this is something that's obviously happened before.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't happen now, but I imagine it does. And it's a very, very, it gets under your skin. It's creepy.
Very, very much. It makes your skin crawl.
Honestly, that sets the tone for of the movie. I thought, when I first watched it, because I watched it with my parents. Weird, and but I was well, this is weird. I don't know what to do really.
I can imagine that was a really weird part to watch with your mum.
Yeah, but like I say, it was the 90s, and then straight away, of course. So now we're introduced to the character Peyton.
Well, first, Dr. Mott shoots himself because it comes out that Dr. Mott has abused about 4 more women.
Yeah, so
4 women come forward and say Dr. Mott's diddled us as well.
Because by Claire coming forward, it sort of opens the floodgates really to basically people coming in
and then there's that part where the news is on, and then Dr. Mott walks over to his desk, gets his gun. You don't see it, but then you see the shadow, and then you hear a bang, and then you're introduced to Peyton. I think the lawyers, aren't they? She's speaking to.
That's the vibe I get from like The Office.
Yeah.
And, like the people around her.
And they basically say, because Claire isn't going after Dr. Mott for any compensation, but the other 4 women are, and they basically say to her, these women are going to take all of your money. Not that it's not justified, you know what I mean? He did something very wrong, and they basically say to her, take anything you need from the house, we're going to have to sell the house to be able to afford it. And as she's leaving, she collapses.
Yeah, she's pregnant also.
She's also pregnant with Dr. Mott's baby, and she loses the baby. Yeah. And as she's watching and as she's in hospital, she's watching the TV, and it comes up about Claire, the first woman to come forward about her husband. And then I'll let Rob explain the next bit because he gets very, very into it.
So as the film has started, and also there's another character to mention here, and the character is called Solomon. And Solomon is played by Ernie Hudson, of course, of Ghostbusters fame.
He needs Winston. Solomon in that film needs protecting by any means necessary.
Exactly, because I mean Solomon, he's disabled. Is he disabled?
Special needs.
Special needs.
Yeah.
He suffers with certain issues, and he is sort of like a volunteer. And his
Bright Days, they're called.
That's right. Van, he comes and basically he's like
he becomes one of the family.
He's kind of like sponsored by them, isn't he, to come and do like little odd jobs.
Because he's there to fix the fence at first.
That's
isn't
right.
He? Yeah.
Because and as the movie progresses, like the movie comes because it's set over I don't know exactly how long, but set over a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And every single time Solomon does a job, they find another job for him to do because they don't want to lose him.
Emma becomes so close.
Exactly, yeah. She starts to form a bond with Solomon, and Solomon is just an all-round lovely person. He can do no harm. He's just there to help people, and it's a great character, and it's a great role played by Ernie Hudson.
100%.
Something you wouldn't usually see.
Definitely my favourite character in a film.
Yeah, because in all the movies that Ernie Hudson's done, it's very different for him because he plays a lot of side characters. Obviously like Winston in
Ghostbusters.
In Ghostbusters, he plays is it Peretti in The Crow? He's
the copper, isn't he?
The copper. I'm not sure if Peretti's his name, but anyway, he's done a lot of movies, but this movie for me will always be the film that showed off his acting skills.
Oh, definitely,
he plays 100%. It perfectly, very well, and then Peyton. As the movie progresses, Claire decides that they need a babysitter or like a childminder.
Yeah, because it goes on after you see Peyton lose the baby.
Yeah, so she
shoots forward, doesn't it?
Even her losing the baby is a very nasty scene because you sort of see her bleeding and stuff. And to me, that's it's a very very uneasy scene.
Oh yeah,
obviously it's not a nice moment.
Because a lot of people go through that kind of stuff.
Of course. So it shows you the realism of it. Really.
Yeah.
And she's begging the doctors, please save my baby. It's a horrible scene. Like I say, it's a very serious movie, serious topic, really. And then straight away, we cut to when now Claire's had her baby. So
Joe,
yeah, Joey,
yeah.
And they decide that with the amount of work that Claire has to do because of her job, and they decide to get a childminder. And then suddenly, so they put the feelers out, and then one day, by sheer coincidence, not coincidence, but it's all planned.
Yeah.
Peyton decides to pay them a visit and become the one of the people to be interviewed for it.
Because they've interviewed 5 people for, and they hated them all, didn't they?
Correct.
And
no one's fit the family.
And Emma forgets her jacket, and she runs after the bus, and Peyton stops the bus, and she sort of puts her foot in the door there, doesn't she? Because obviously Claire, she's like, "Oh, thank you so much."
Yeah, she knows immediately she's someone that you can rely on.
Yes, yeah.
And then from there, it really does it's all about the relationship she builds with the family. I mean, straight away. I mean, for me, it's horrible because from the off, when she meets Solomon, she shows her intent.
The dirty looks and the side eye.
I think I think she gets a bit because Solomon's painting the fence. I think it's painting the fence. He's painting something, and he gets paint accidentally on Peyton's cardigan. I think.
Yeah, because he goes to shake her hand.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry," in the loveliest kind of way that Solomon's character is like, and she pulls away and looks at him with straight away that look.
Don't touch me, kind of thing.
And this is what I love about Rebecca De Mornay, her character. That's Peyton. Her role is in the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the movie, it's like she barely blinks. Her whole. I mean, what is her intent in this movie? Because obviously, by the time the film, what do you think she was looking to get out of this?
She was trying to take Claire's family. That's what. I don't think she was trying to harm anyone until she was rejected.
I believe that. Again, I totally agree with you. I think she's not. I don't think she's there to murder them.
No, not all.
And that's how it comes across towards the end. I mean, that's because of the pressure and the situation she's under.
I get that. I get the because obviously at the end, the whole scene for me that makes me think that she wasn't there to harm anyone was because when obviously Claire finds out who she is, and then she goes to Michael after she's like, oh no, come on, we've got something. He's like, no, I told you I love one woman, and that's my wife.
Yeah.
So in my mind, she managed to delude herself into thinking, oh no, he loves me, not her, and I'm going to take over her, because she says that I'm going to take over your family, I'm going to become their mother. And yeah, no, that's the vibe I got from it,
because she does put like moments. She sort of like creates scenarios where, like, so she puts doubt in Claire's head that Michael might be having. So there was another character in this played by Julianne Moore, very early role. I think it was her first big role actually. She plays Claire's best friend Marlene, and I think Peyton clearly sees that Marlene.
Michael and Marlene had their first love, didn't
that's
they?
Right, yeah. So there's a connection there, but they've always stayed friends, and it's always been amicable. But Marlene is straight away wary of Peyton because straight away they're sort of making her out to be Mother Teresa, and Marlene's sitting there going like, there's definitely something not right here about this woman. So she picks up on the bad vibe immediately, and this is why, sadly, I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's been around for nearly 30 years. Marlene does meet quite an untimely death.
Yes, there's a lot of glass.
Yeah, and it's a well put together scene. Very tense.
One of the moments for me in that film that made me genuinely it made me wince, but shouldn't have, was when she made Claire think that Solomon was a paedophile.
Yeah,
she stole some of Emma's underpants and put them in Solomon. He can't, bless him, he's got a bicycle and like a little toolbox in the back. And Peyton comes downstairs and goes, "Have we got any batteries?" Claire says no. So Peyton goes, "Oh, do you think Solomon's got any?" So she goes over to the toolbox, looks in there, and there's a pair of underpants. But beforehand, Peyton had already said, "Do you not think it's weird the way he hugs her and things like that?" Yeah. But obviously, Solomon is part of the family. That's how I see it.
I don't really, because obviously she wants Claire to just trust her and no one else, and she obviously sees Solomon as a threat.
Well, obviously she thinks that because Solomon sees her breastfeeding Joey.
That's right, yeah.
Because he's up the ladder meant to be painting. I don't know why I'm doing hand signals. I don't know what painting is. And he looks through the window, and Peyton has got her breasticle in Joey's mouth. Yeah. And now, obviously, Joey is not Peyton's mother, so you shouldn't be putting your titty where it don't belong.
Breasticle, I've not heard that before.
Breasticle, you can use it, and everyone can use it.
That. That's a hashtag. But no, like I say, I forgot about that scene because straight away, then she knows that he knows something that could affect her time with them, and then as the film progresses, obviously, it becomes more and more apparent how desperate she is to do whatever it takes to get the family she wants. But like I say, every single scene where she holds Joey, obviously she's a woman with mental health issues.
Yes.
And again, I think if that film was made now, I think they might take a different, because obviously mental health is such a big thing now.
Yeah.
And rightly so. I think they might take a different sort of, like, I don't know, maybe tune it a little bit differently.
Okay. No, I completely agree.
To sort of show that, that this is a real problem.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't think, because obviously we don't know the Peyton character prior to this. We just know her as the woman who basically we see in the movie as once. It's not a revenge, I would say.
No. I mean, she's lost everything.
Yeah.
She blames Claire.
She blames Claire. So she's desperate for like a family of her own. But like I say, scenarios happen, and as the film progresses, it just gets worse and worse for her, and that's when the character becomes more menacing, definitely more evil.
Because it all culminates in the end where again Michael says, "Listen, breasticle, we don't want you here. Basically, leave." Yeah. And Peyton, to be fair, at first I thought, "Oh no, this is going to end easily." Peyton goes, "Okay, I'm going to leave," and he asks for the keys back. And the one gripe I've got about this film is because they ask her to leave during the day, and then 10 minutes later it's night time, and then Peyton comes back with a shovel and knocks Michael over a banister. He breaks his legs.
The worst breaking leg scene that's ever happened. Only because, did you see how well he took that pain?
Oh yeah.
He says, "Claire, Peyton's in the house. I can't move.
I broke my legs.
Yeah, my legs are broken."
Yeah, it's very.
If I broke my legs, I'd be a bit more vocal.
Yeah, and to be fair, again, and this is why Solomon should be on the endangered species list, because he's a beautiful being and he's protected at every moment. He saves the kids.
Yeah.
He's got his ladder because he's got one of those tall house ladders. Again, I don't know if I'm doing the hands. Everyone knows what a ladder is. He goes up the ladder and Emma locks Peyton in the room.
You're very good at miming.
I would, yeah.
Charlie Chaplin. Right,
and she locks Peyton in the room and Emma says, "You're not my mummy." Yeah. Or mommy, as the Americans would say.
That's a very serious scene as well. Cause that's when sort of Peyton, like that's basically Peyton being defeated.
Because she thought that she could trust Emma, didn't she? Because she's manipulated Emma for the film.
And they have a strong bond throughout the movie, don't they? And
Mm.
that's obviously why she sees Solomon as because Solomon, like I say, even though he's only a part character in it, he plays a big, by the time the film ends, he's one of the biggest parts.
Yeah,
really,
100%.
Even though he's only in certain scenes. But no, I think it's. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I say,
I really enjoyed it.
I think like I say, thrillers like that, 90s thrillers were the best. It's the best decade for me for that genre. And you had Silence of the Lambs. You had a lot of John Grisham, films that came along like The Firm and Time to Kill and things like that. They were really, really gritty movies. And I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed it.
Now I'm trying to think. So obviously we mark everything out of 10.
Oh, breast pumps.
Because
obviously, I'm going to explain this now. When Claire finds out who Peyton is, Claire has been making sure her milk glands are still going by pumping herself. Yeah. And that's why I said breast pump. I'm not just being weird about breasticles.
So on that note, we're going to go with it. So how many, I can't believe I'm saying this, how many breast pumps would you give The Hand That Rocks the Cradle?
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
All the breast pumps. Now, it's a hard one because I don't think I enjoyed it more than Fatal Attraction.
Okay.
But it is a very good film. And a lot of people say I'm quite harsh with my ratings, but I'm going to give it a 6. But it's a solid 6. Like, I highly recommend it to anyone.
You're more open to watching films like that now?
Well, you've opened me to a lot of things. Like, I always fobbed off Blade Runner for years. Yeah. And then you said to me, listen, Chad, watch it, you'll like it. And I watched it, and I love Blade Runner now. I think I've watched it twice since I've watched it, and I really love Blade Runner. Fatal Attraction, very good film as well.
That's the best part, isn't it, about having, like say, in your film group, there's always important to have someone recommend the film to you that you might not watch. And if you trust the person's opinion, then at least then you can go and watch it and then think, well, if he says I'm going to like it, I've got a good vibe about it.
I'm going to give it a 7, actually.
Oh, a 7.
I'm going to give it a 7.
We've gone one up.
Because I'm thinking how good, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, for me, I rate a film, and I know I shouldn't have, but we're in that age now, from how many times I picked my phone up during it.
Yeah, sadly, that was a problem for me with Creepshow.
Yeah.
On the previous.
I knocked a call off from my brother to finish the film.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and that's how much I enjoyed it. I seen that, I was like, no, I'll ring him back in a bit, kind of thing. It could have been important. It wasn't, luckily. But I was watching, and yeah, it was one of those for me. So yeah, 7, a solid 7 as well.
It gripped you.
It gripped me.
Perfect. Well, that is this week's episode, and we're going to be doing more of these. So we're going to be, like I say, Chad's going to be choosing a film for myself that I've not seen before, and vice versa. And we're just going to try and watch as many of these films as we can. If there's any films, obviously this one's a bit different because we don't really want recommendations because obviously it's about
me and you.
Then again, you could technically speak to Chad or myself separately and recommend a film, but it depends how well you know us.
Yeah, definitely, we can do that. Also, this doesn't mean we're not doing the reviews anymore. We'll still be doing the movie reviews. And we're going to be returning to the podcast as well soon.
More topical issues coming up.
Yes, definitely. And we're going to have some cool guests. One who's a good friend of ours, I'd say. Barry, very good guy, and that's the name of his channel, by the way. Go check that out because he's got great. Yeah, he's doing something at the moment called the Movie Corner.
Yeah, honestly, the Movie Corner is really.
I really like it. He just released a video this morning.
Yeah, annoying that we didn't pick up on it before him. But Barry, we wish you all the best.
Yeah, so thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.